Hey everybody, welcome back to Aaron Mac BS Detector. Today I'm just wanting to talk a little bit about just, just the institution of religion, right? Whether it be Christianity, Catholicism, whatever it may be. I have just recently, I've always known that there was like a bunch of denominations, but like when I really started looking into it, like I realized that there was like almost 50,000 denominations. That is crazy. And then, just myself, I've probably got, heck, I don't know, 10, 15 different translations of the Bible, which I think that is good. If you do want to study the Bible, you most certainly should have, more than one translation. But what I've also just recently learned is like the Greek Septuagint. Excuse me, I want to move my little tripod up a little bit. The Septuagint was the first translation of the Bible, and I'm kind of starting. Excuse me, I got to get my coffee. Also, I'm starting to realize, y'all, Hebrew, I think it might be made up because, and then you have like modern day Hebrew, which was made up. Like, and I'm pretty sure I've already posted a video on that about the Russian Jewish linguist Eliezer Yitzhak Perlman from Russia, who revived the Hebrew language, aka made it completely up. I'm sorry, not sorry, but like that's what it is. And I'm really realizing like how much of our doctrines have come from Catholicism, the Knights Templar, which they were practicing like all the MK Ultra and stuff, like the mind control stuff, even back then. And then the protocols of the Elders of Zion. Like once you really look at like the core beliefs of the Templars and like Rosicrucianism, and then you look at the beliefs of like the mystical Jewish stuff, it's all the same. They're all the same people, but they pretend not to be. And they're infiltrating churches. There are so many witches, Freemasons. Most pastors nowadays are Freemasons, okay? I would not be going to a church where the pastor's a Freemason. I just wouldn't be doing it. So, excuse me, let me set this down. Anyways, all that to say, we got to do better. We got to be like the Bereans that are spoken of in the New Testament, where it was like the Bereans, they didn't just believe whatever they were told. They would take what they were told and then go and look to see if it was true. And that's what I've started doing. And let me tell you, like, mind blown, dude. It is crazy. It's crazy. So anyways, I don't want to like keep y'all too long. I'm still just trying to build this channel. I just ask that you subscribe, leave a comment. If you are a Christian, if you're not a Christian, if you're somebody that just, maybe you're like a history buff, or you just like to read nonfiction books, because I'm gonna start going into a lot of that. But just to tell you like a little bit about the Bibles that I've been like comparing and contrasting lately is, oh my God, I spent so much money on this Bible back when I was starting to get sucked into the Hebrew roots movement, because and I feel like the Hebrew roots movement also, excuse me, not almost, also is based off a lot of assumptions. They give the chosen people over there committing a schminicide. I don't even know if the algo is gonna like take this down for any words that I might be saying, but a lot. The church has pretty much given all of their authority, all of their I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but they keep referring to the unregenerate, unrepentant Zionist state of Israel to tell them what the Bible means, when in Jesus' day, like I said, he was reading the Septuagint, baby. He sure was. This one right here. This is the Brenton Greek Septuagint. And it's very important that people actually read this, because, especially if you're doing like timeline studies and stuff like that, because like, okay, here's my other one, is the Et Sefer, and they, a lot of work. Dr. Stephen Pigeon, he's a guy that like did this, but this is based off the Masoretic text. It's not based off of the Septuagint, I don't believe. And they have inserted a lot of Yahweh's and all this stuff in there, which, you know, it used to just be God, Lord, you know, Most High, whatever. So I've kind of been going through and comparing and contrasting like what one chapter or passage will say compared to what the other one does, and the difference is bananas. Just like, okay, let's take the doctrine of the Trinity, for instance. This is not a biblical doctrine. Nowhere in the Bible does it say anything about a Trinity. In fact, I want to say it was like 200 or 300 years after, you know, all the goings on of the Second Temple period, that the Trinity even became a thing. So this is not something that Jesus taught. It's not something that the apostles taught. And it's quite frankly not anything you can even find in the Old Testament. Now, in the Old Testament, and I know I posted that one video, my first video, long form video that I posted here about the Divine Council. And I wish I had the copy of the book. I'd show you the copy of it. Anyway, it's called The Divine Council. It's by Dr. Michael Heiser. And he talks about, I think it's Psalms chapter 82 in your Masoretic Text Bible, which is going to basically be pretty much any Bible you have, except for the Greek Septuagint. I think it's chapter 81 in the Greek Septuagint, about how it talks about, you know, the Most High stands in the council or in the assembly of the gods. So there's obviously other gods. There's obviously this whole idea of Father, Son, Holy Ghost. The Father is not the Son. They are separate entities. However, the Son is the image of the Father. So the Father has his own spirit, and the Son is his own spirit. And Israel Anderson came up with something called Trinity math, and I think he like trademarked that term. So I don't want to go like get in trouble for using his terminology, but I thought that was hilarious, because he's like, you know, if you're going to look at it that way, then you've got the Father and the Son, both which have a spirit. So there's 4 instead of 3. But a lot of the doctrines that we've gotten from the church are just quite simply bullcrap. They're just total bullcrap, dude. So anyways, and then I just got this New Testament. It's literally based off, it's called the Unvarnished New Testament. And it's written like a novel. It breaks up things into like the letters and the epistles, but there's no chapter and verse breaks, none of that. So you can just read it through, and it kind of helps keep things in context, because when you have chapter and verse breaks, particularly verse breaks, people love to like take a verse and just completely use it not in its context to mean usually the exact opposite of what it says, which is what Christianity has done since the beginning. Pretty much they've convinced us that this Old Testament God is the Father of Jesus, when no, he ain't. I mean, if you've read the Bible, and I'm sure a lot of people have been turned off by it, Christianity as a whole, even Christians, because they cannot reconcile in their mind. They read this guy in the Old Testament, God in the Old Testament, he's like petty and vengeful and like, you know, I was reading the Exodus the other day, okay? And he's like telling Moses, you know, I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart. And when y'all leave, like, basically tell him to like steal from the Egyptians. Okay? That's crazy. And then as you get further along into the Bible, you read, or into the Old Testament particularly, you read like he's commanding the Israelites go and just slaughter whole people groups, kids, women, babies. Sorry, a loving, I mean, you know, you have to be like totally Stockholm syndrome or like I mean, Yahweh is like the ultimate gaslighter, I guess, is what I'm coming to find out. And so when people don't understand it, they just, you know, just discard it offhand. And I kind of don't blame them, because it does take a lot of like research. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of like prayer and seeking to get the answers. And so that's what I've started doing. And the conclusions that I've come to are, and I mean, there's a lot of people that have been on this app for a long time, like Bobby Collier. He has a channel called Good God. And I don't even think he even says Yahweh is the devil. He just like reads the Bible and kind of shows you and leaves it up to you to draw your own conclusion. But I'll jump out my ride and go ahead and say, like, Yahweh is the enemy. Because, and I think I left off like my last video, and I had posted this as like a reel to Facebook. But anybody that's like familiar with the New Testament, where Jesus is taken, you know, or he's out fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, you know, in the wilderness, and Satan approaches him and offers him all the kingdoms of the world if he'll just bow down and worship him. And then when you think about it, it's like, well, okay, we're taught in the Old Testament that Yahweh is the God of the world, at least for now. So when did he give all his kingdoms of the world to the devil to offer to Jesus, unless he is the devil, dude? It's like 1 + 1 is 2. It's like, but man, the brainwashing is so freaking deep. It is. And I have a friend that I've been talking to, and I really don't think that it's like any accident that I was introduced to this friend. I'm a bartender by trade, and so, you know, I've got dive bar bartending mostly, and I can do some story times about that if y'all want. But going back to, so I met this woman through a regular of mine, and this person was kind of involved heavy into the Hebrew roots movement, and I didn't judge, and I didn't be like, oh dude, you gotta get, you know, I just kind of let it be what it was. And then when she started to express concerns about how legalistic and catty and mean-spirited they were, I'm like, yeah, because their father is Yahweh, who is schizophrenic at best. And then I always wondered why my life was plagued with such chaos and insanity. And it's because, while yes, I did believe in Jesus, I was praying to who I thought was his father, Yahweh. So no wonder my whole life was a mess for like a very long time. And I mean, it's still not like I've got it all together and I'm like this guru and I'm trying to tell you, hey, this is what it is. No, like I would really like to form a community here where we can all like share information and just share as we go. Like I'm just learning as I go. And so please subscribe. I would like to be able to go live on here and have some conversations, and not these, you know, change my mind type lives. Like I cannot stand that, dude. There was some girl on here earlier and she was like an anti-Trumper, and I am apolitical. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I think the whole system is flawed and should probably be like, you know, set ablaze and burned to the ground. But that's neither here nor there for this conversation. But this girl was on here and she was like stank face and wanting to argue with people about Trump. Now, yes, we know Trump is not a good person. He's not at all. It's quite obvious to everybody. But like her expecting people to call and defend him, and then it was just a mess. So, you know, I would like to be able to do lives and talk to people in a loving way, in a productive way. Like I'm not trying to like beat anybody down. I am coming here you know, sincerely, like with a heart of love and compassion for people, and especially people in the church that have been taught so incorrectly. We literally, the church is a joke. It's a joke. And I think we all know that. It ain't got no legs. It ain't got no teeth. I mean, you know, and I'm not saying that it needs to, but if it, you know, we know that all things are spiritual. The battle here is spiritual. We are not at war against flesh and blood. We're not at war against each other. We're at war with these spiritual principalities. And I think that the great misunderstanding that Christianity has fallen into is they think that Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, is their heavenly Father and is Jesus' Father. And he ain't, bro. He just ain't. So anyways, I guess I'll leave it at that. And then maybe I'll do like a perfume review next. I don't know. I got more than one interest, and you know, it's my channel and I'm going to do whatever I want to with it. So if I want to sit here and talk about Bible for 20-30 minutes, I will. And then the next, if I want to do like some perfume comparisons and reviews and stuff, I'll do that. Anyways, I love you guys, and I hope that you do stick around and sub. Give the video a like, and I hope everyone has an awesome day. Aaron, Mac BS Detector, out.